So we're going to get into human anatomy using basic shapes, right, to like help our proportions and how that all kind of breaks down, which helps in everything that we're doing, because you can translate this to animal, you can translate this to characters that you're doing, all kinds of goodies. So it's using that, using shapes to kind of help structure our anatomy so that we can start to understand where things go, ribs, hips, all that kind of jazz. All right. Tell you what, if they're hopping on, they're going to hop right on into the cartoon. So, Mr. Wizard, if we could start with the Jumpin' Jupiter. It's got some aliens in it. Just warning you. Here's what I love about cartoons. That's extremely absurd, and yet they can breathe perfectly normal in space. The fire is still going by the time he gets down there. And to T, I've relegated you to one letter, and it's a promotion, T, so don't worry about it, because I'm just B, just a letter. I think is it Gravity? Is that the Pixar short with the aliens? I forget what it's called. I don't remember, but it's hilarious, and I love that one. It was at the beginning of WALL-E. So, all right, let's get into creating our own thing. So the whole idea behind getting back to basics, right, is honing our skills and some fundamentals, which helps us better in whatever cartooning, animation stuff we want to do, illustration, or maybe realistic stuff. And what I find easier, so this week's whole word is shape, right? Getting back into shape, using that. And I'm using shape to create human anatomy and posing. So in doing so, I can then, you know, kind of get better faster at determining my poses, and then I can start to build in some detail. Yeah, I know take a left at Albuquerque. That's all. That's for you New Mexico people. I've taken a left at Albuquerque. I don't remember where I ended up. So here we go. It's kind of breaking some things down, and what I want to start with is getting one kind of pose in, and then we're actually going to take the pose that we have and we're going to concentrate on like a torso, like where ribs and stuff sit and the shapes that go into that, so that maybe what we're doing isn't a full frame, it's a partial frame, you know, of a figure. So everybody has something to draw with. Oh, did I real quick non-programming note, this is for T and Evie and everybody else who was Heather Rose and Liliana are on. Did I tell you that I have a Gasp of the Suburban Zelda? No, it's Breath of the Wild. I'm kidding. Thank you very much. I have it. I started playing it, and it's a very cool game. So there you go. That's what I'm doing on the plane tomorrow. All right, let's get into some anatomy. I know. I'm not always the brightest bulb in the box. I just have one on my forehead. All right, so getting into anatomical things and using shapes for human figure. What I want to do is zoom in a little bit and start with, if we were to do a basic human kind of layout, right? I start off with something as simple as, let's get a little closer, rectangles, right? So rectangles to me are easy shapes that I can get torso. So this would be like upper torso, kind of into the abdominals, and I'd get my hips down, and then legs, knees, and we're doing this real fast just to kind of get an idea of what we're processing. My elbows are at my rib cages. So if you notice that on humans, if you put your own elbow right by your side, it's right to the bottom of where your rib cage is, right? And then you've got hands, and usually your hands and your wrist come down to about where your mid thigh is. And you can alternate there, super easy. Just so if I'll zoom in a little bit there. Basic shapes, and you can see it's kind of like if you guys have ever used the little wooden frames, you know, the little wooden figures that you can bend and pose. I've used those before in this class for life drawing when we were doing gesture drawing quick. This gives us a really good idea proportionally also of how a character sets up. So I just have the standard size. I can make it wider, taller, shorter, whatever, but I know where my proportions are. So as I'm sketching something out, I've got an idea where things are, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these basic shapes here, which are just basically a lot of rectangles and some circles. Here's my basic anatomical structure. Now we're going to do something with a pose. I'm going to zoom out a little bit for this. We're going to do something with a pose. So follow along, would you please? We're going to start with a circle on our paper. Super easy. All right, I'm going to have this, the figure is kind of looking off in that direction. So I've got my cross section here, which is my nose line and my eye line. And then I'm going to get into my character is kind of stretching my pose, right? So this right here is partially, it's like chest. So you can kind of see already I'm getting a little three-dimensional already in what I'm putting out. And then I can kind of get my neck, right, to come in. So I can already see my pose and where it's stretching. Everybody see that all right? Is that a little tighter? Does that make sense? And then as I connect things, I'm going to, so I've got a bend. So my spine is bending. My character is bending back a little bit. And right here would be the middle, right? So let's just say this is my spine. So this is kind of where my rib cage sits. And then I'm arcing back just a little bit. So you can see kind of how my pose is taking shape. Now from here, I've got my hip joints. I have my shoulder joints, which I'm just kind of indicating with circles. Again, basic shapes. And my character has got, my pose is, I've got an elbow here, and I'm just going to connect that with kind of a rectangle. And then I'm going to go up. This is going to be a very dramatic pose. Okay, makes sense so far? All right, getting into my next pose, I've got my elbow that comes down right about here. And I'm going to put my hand down this way. Basic shapes. Scottus Prime, the leader of the what's? The leader of the Zoe? Oh, the Zoom. I'll bet you that says the leaders. Scottimus Prime. I'll do a Scottimus Prime. You better watch out, Scott. We'll do you as a transformer. All right, so I've got my legs. Now, in this pose, it's not just a straight up and down thing. I've got one leg back, one leg forward. In this case, my left leg is forward. My right leg is back.
Can you make up spot orange?
Not right now. Okay. I can kind of see where my foot bends. So scoot it up there. There we go. Tot bot. Would that be like a VW bug? All right, there you go. You could be the original Bumblebee. All right, so there's in basic shapes using a form, right? Does that make sense to people? Let me see what you did now. Oh, Sharon, show and tell time. Just hold it up. We don't have to go like around everybody. But can you just show me at the camera what your sketch looks like? Evie, you're going to have to turn off your background. Yes, there you go, T. How about Nathaniel, Soleil, Armin? Yep, there you go. Nice job. Good job, Evie. There you go. Excellent. Excellent. Armin, Soleil. Very good, Armin. Soleil's like, I'm not showing anything. Wow, look at that. She even shook her head like, what am I talking about? All right, fine. Fine, Soleil. Okay. So is Laura going to show? What? That's mutiny. All right. So I've got my basic shape down here. So hopefully this helps as because we're going to articulate this to your own human form here in a second. So I'm going to flip this over. We're we're going to get a little bit more, detailed. So when I'm rolling anatomy, which I'm about to do, and there's certain books that I like to sketch out of for anatomy, but we're going to start with this. So we're just going to deal with torso. We're not really going to deal with head, just kind of maintaining torso and using shapes for human anatomy. Last time was lines and how we line stuff up. Don't worry, I don't have any like half-clothed people in big muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger. We don't have to draw that today. This is all just sketchy. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to can you see that? Yeah. I'm just going to get my circle down, and all I'm going to do is bring 2 lines in. Almost to a point, but not completely. All right, so this is kind of like where this piece would be in your, Scott, can you flip to me for a second? So in this here, on what I have on the circle, like circles kind of head, I have my neck coming down, and then right here, the center, like where your collarbone hits, that's where this is. All right, Scott, you can go back. Now there is triangular shapes for our collarbones, if you will, that kind of go like so. Kind of helps frame out where our shoulders are. Piece of cake so far. And I'm going to do a line down here for where my rib cage sits. So in my rib cage, we're going to connect this line here to like right where the neck, where I come up on my neck, like where this triangle sits, kind of like the collarbone in here, and connect this out. Ben Botson. Is that my Transformers name? I'd probably be like a dump truck. It's probably how I feel about a dump truck. That way I can still eat whatever I want. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and I'm just going to kind of bring that down. So I've got, you can see I've already kind of started out where my rib cage sits. And then I've got my spine, which comes down to about here. And then all I'm going to do is allude to where my hips are, which is there, my hip bone. All right. Now, when I'm dealing with kind of just bone structure, we've got about 7 in the rib cage-ish. I don't exactly remember how it is. Hierarchy of Zoom class. And all right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's my 7. So these 2 count. And I got 5 in here, kind of fans out. And then same thing on this side. Kind of gives me an idea where my ribs are, right? Then I've got my shoulders that sit here in about circles. And my bones in my upper arm. This looks a little weird, and that's okay that it looks weird because it's supposed to. So you can get an idea of anatomy, right? Well, all I wanted to do in here is to show basic how we kind of break down something a little bit more and showing some internals, right? Bone structure. How does your character, like in translating this to cartoon animation, how does your character walk, move, right? The more believable it is, the more you can connect with your audience. Scott is the king and Ben is the right-hand man. Wow, did you hear that, Scott? I am the Robin to your Batman, apparently. I am the Bumblebee to your Optimus Prime. I am the Porky Pig to your Daffy Duck, to bring it all back around to Chuck Jones. All right, we got a basic idea of this. I think everybody kind of gets it. Robin, Ben. Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to scoot my paper over. Now, here's how I want it to translate to you. I want you to draw your own humanized figure. I don't want it to be cartoony necessarily, but I want you to have your own structure. So that means that if you've got, it doesn't have to be like just even squares. If you want a little wider character, a little taller, right? However you want to put that down. Scott is always the main character. It's going to be like a lot of Scott a day light is what it's going to be. So you've got your sheet of paper here. I want you to draw your own figure now. And here's how we're going to apply this. We're going to make a humanoid robot, Transformer style. T, I blame this on you. And we're going to use our anatomical structure here to pull that off. So how is your character going to look? All right, using what we did in kind of breaking down basic shapes and anatomy, I want you to start to sketch out the very outlines of using basic shapes of what your humanoid robot, aka, oh, that's right, called. Did you know Evie is an actual robot from the movie WALL-E? Oh, there is another one. We're gonna connect everybody. All right, so I'm gonna use this to. I want you guys to do your own anatomical structure. So using basic shapes, make your own basic anatomy. Okay. So I'm gonna go wider here. With a smaller kind of waist structure. And then we're going to turn these into robots. All right, so we're going to turn these into robots, starting with our basic shapes. Who's ever seen the movie Iron Giant? Thank you very much. Two of you, Nathaniel and T. That I would hope that you would. Everybody else, y'all need to do something, and that's watch a movie called Iron Giant. It's brilliant. All right, so I've got my basic structure down. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a pose. Yes, I know. I was hoping they would make a second Iron Giant because I would be totally okay with that. All right. So mine is going to have the typical pose, except for he's going to look a little. Let's see, just in. All right. And then a big old weapon. Okay, so that's my basic anatomical structure to my figure. Does everybody have theirs? Does Evie have hers? That's what I saw that pencil go down as soon as I said that. All right. Laura, do you have yours down? Do you have your basic anatomical structure? I hope so. Armin does. Armin's working. Soleil is working feverishly because I was going to call on her next and she knew it. Des is keeping his camera off because he's just trying to hide. Oh, I see. Laura's going to do the same thing. That's fine. All right. Now, once we've got this down, given what we have in kind of our basic structure, right, do we have some believability to it? I think so. Now you would start to break down features of that. So if you've got a pose, maybe you're twisting a little bit. Now, how would you start to outfit your humanoid robot? For intellectual property purposes, we will not say Transformers. I have no idea what anybody's talking about, but we'll just say it's like something like that. So I'm going to go straight down the middle. GoBots. We could do GoBots. Do we know why everybody's talking about Transformers? Yes, it's T. T is the reason why. And it just made sense after that. No, don't worry. I'm paying homage to you. I'm giving you I'm not even blaming you. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm not. It's in a good way. Do you have a Jack Skellington sweatshirt on? There you go. All right. Or as my 2-year-old calls him, Skeleton Jack. All right, so now I'm gonna start to make, using anatomical features of what I already know, I'm gonna build out my humanoid robot a bit. He's not super happy. All right, cheeks. My face turned pink. Mine's just pink because it's a bright, shiny light. All right, and then I'm gonna get my head in. Okay. All right, so I've kind of got that down, and then I'm going to get into my chest piece work. So what would you have in there anatomically that would fit in that? I'm going to say windows. And some, I don't know, I'm going to figure out some other parts. Maybe some exhaust work. I'm going to go tires, smaller tires for the shoulders. All right, Armin, are you, how's it coming, buddy? Are you rocking your humanoid figure that happens to be a robot? All right, I got a good head shake. Excellent. Okay. All right, so we're gonna pull that stuff down. Features. Laura, what kind of features does your humanoid structure have? You can't disappear, I saw you already. Okay, she did disappear. We'll go to Nathaniel. Nathaniel. All right, so to answer Soleil's question before Nathaniel says.
No, I'm not showing anything. I'm just making my.
Oh, you're just saying hey? All right. So to answer Soleil's question, Transformers 1, loved it. Thought it was a fantastic movie. 2, 3, 4, 5, terrible. And they just keep getting worse. I can't do it. Bumblebee, however, loved Bumblebee. All right. So we'll do a little work to this. We'll show some, and then I want to get into like heads, specifically skulls. How we kind of structure out a skull using basic shapes. All right. Think too of like when you're doing things like parts of a whatever machine. I'm going to use a car grill. I'll use exhaust pipes. All right, so our humanoid structure. So the point on this being when we're using shapes to help with our anatomy, right, we can then transform it, haha, pun intended, right, into really anything, whether it be animal shapes, robots, all that kind of stuff, and it starts to bring some more realism to our drawing. So I just wrapped a robot around a skeletal structure using basic shapes, but it's more believable, which is what we want. We want believability in our characters. All right, who's done? Nathaniel, the speed drawer, are you done? Did he just give me the wink, hey? Like, no, what are you talking about? No. All right, I'm gonna finish up real quick, and then we're gonna move on to, I wanna see what everybody's done a little bit. Doesn't have to be finished, by the way, it doesn't have to be finished. So, T, as I will now call you. Look at that, spotlight that. Yes, check that out. Way to use shapes. I love the posing too. It's far more interesting than what mine is.
Thank you.
To pull off, right, an interesting pose, and then using shapes even to get that three-dimensional structure going. Nice job. All right. Nathaniel, are you ready? I'm going to put you on the Almost. What about Soleil? Dude, she just turned off her camera too. What is this? This is a
Turned off her camera.
This is a mutiny. All right, it's apparently just Armin, T, and Nathaniel, and myself. All right, so I don't know who Tally Boy is. Tallbot, I think that's what you meant. Yeah, Evie. All right, so Laura, can we see what you did?
Mm-mm.
You can go ahead and pop your camera. Or not. Okay. How about Nathaniel? Come on, or Armin. Armin or Nathaniel. You guys are my ringers. That's the only one that everyone else has vacated me. Nathaniel's ready. All right, let's go to Nathaniel.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm very sorry.
Why are you apologizing exactly? All right, well, you took it and you spun it into whatever figure. I just gave a robot as an example. So as long you spun it into something, created a character, which is good.
I just made Ed.
Ed works. Armin, what about you, buddy? You have something? Thumbs up?
I don't want to share.
Okay, that's fine. We'll come back to me. All right, I've got mine down. Nobody else wants to go, and that's fine. You know, it's a good thing my feelings aren't hurt very easily. Evie. Evie wants to go. Evie, can I see what you did? To which the comment will be, why are you picking on me? And I'm not. I'm just calling out to see if you're ready.
She says she's redoing it.
Redoing it. Okay. All right. I'm good on this. This is my quick version of my, whatever you called it, Ben bot. I don't know. That sounds ridiculous. Somebody else can come up with a better name. Love what T did on his, Nathaniel. Now let's get into some skulls. Basic shapes, human anatomy. Well, Evie, but you didn't pop back on. So, oh, there's Soleil again, but she doesn't want to show. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. It's all fine. And that's what a crazy person says right before they lose it. Okay. So getting into some skull action. Here's what I like about skulls. Is this kind of gives us a really good, I got one hand and I can't. Okay, that's all right. We get a little frustrated with it. That's the point of like getting down to your basic shapes, right, in your posing, because it kind of helps to figure out what's working and what doesn't work before you start adding a lot of detail to it. So getting into skulls, I'm going to start with a basic circle. And then I'm going to bring down kind of a rectangular shape underneath. And I'm going to bring my sight line down this way. All right, so that's about, if I'm pulling my skull out, that's about where I'm going to sit with my eye line and then where my nose sits. And here's why understanding like a skull and how your bone structure works is important to when you're drawing human anatomy, right, in heads. It translates to your characters and whatever's being pulled off, is like how our jaws work, kind of where noses sit a little bit as far as just position on the face and eyes, and then realizing that you've got more space toward like the back of your head also. So sometimes we just focus on eyes, and then maybe our drawing doesn't look as in depth. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to go with and start to put in my nose, which takes place right about here, right where my intersection hits. And I'm just going to pop this shape in like so. All right, and off my nose. This is the eye line here is for the bottom of my eyes, and I've got one eye here. And then if I'm going to make this a little dimensional, maybe my nose isn't as, it's a little shallower on the face. All right, so this is kind of where it starts to stick out a little bit. So this is the bone structure. If you feel your own nose, right, as it comes down, you've got cartilage on the end here, right, all the squishy stuff. And this piece right here is bone. And that is what this is right here, Scott. We can go back to this. That's this piece right here, right? So you can feel in your own face kind of where your bones stop and cartilage takes over. And then I'm going to put another eye in. This one's obviously going to be bigger because I'm kind of facing, turning in one direction. Not the band one direction. I'm just turning in one direction. All right, there we go. And you can already see kind of where the placement is of my eyeballs on the skull. And then you can have the bridge of your nose connect like this, and that kind of sinks in a little bit, which is this piece right between your eyes. So related to your own face, Scott, come to me for 1 second. Related to your own face, and that piece that we've just bridged between this eye socket and this eye socket is right in here. So it's that dip in, you get to the bridge of your nose, and then you start with your skull where it comes up. All right, we can go back. So that's this piece right here. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make a very slight oval, all right, on top where the bridge of my nose is, up to where my skull. This is kind of the front of my forehead. And then on the side here, I'm going to add a shape. It's not going to come up almost as high, but I'm going to add a shape like this. And that's the side of where my head is, because believe it or not, my skull comes back a bit and then arcs over. Ooh, this is almost kind of like if you've watched chapter 16 of The Mandalorian and the, right? And the, what are they called? The Dark Troopers? Evie, you're just going to have to catch up on the season, because at some point we're just going to spill it all. And it should be on the internet already. All right, so I've got this down, right? This is kind of where the back of my head is. Now, and you can feel it too on the side of your head, like where the side is. So this piece right here, you can feel in your bones where it comes back, and there's kind of that flat part. That's this right in here. So all I'm going to pull off is this is going to come up just a little bit to where this line is, and it's going to arc back a little. And that's just that flat part. And then underneath where my nose is, I'm going to make one line out. And that's where my skull is. And I've got my cheekbones, which actually comes up a little bit. Okay, so then I'm going to connect the skull on the top with my forehead. I'm going to kind of come around the bend. See how that connects. And from here, just so I can see what I'm doing in my lines, I'm going to erase a little bit on the inside. So I'm going to use my guidelines. You haven't watched any Star Wars in your entire life. Well, you got to start somewhere. I would recommend The Mandalorian. All right, so I've got my lines in here. Now, even in my eye sockets, I'm going to show a little bit of depth. I'm going to give myself a little bit of the interior there. And then I'm just going to shade it. And then the same thing in here with the inside of my nose. My nasal cavity, as it were. All right, so as we get our we're using, again, we got our basic shapes as we're mapping out our structure. This helps in all your character stuff. And then I've got my mouth, which is my teeth that kind of come down. And for now, all we're gonna do is get our cheekbones in. I'm not gonna do teeth very graphically in our jaw, but we're gonna notate it like this. Right? Like so. Are we drawing sands? You're gonna have to help me out, dude, because I'm not hip to that. What does that mean? No, T, you cannot do the face palm, okay? Cannot do the face palm.
It's from Undertale.
Ah, my son would.
Character in Undertale, and it's a pretty big game, and it's also pretty good. I highly recommend.
Is it? Okay. Well, my oldest son has played Undertale before, so I still have no idea what you're talking about, other than the fact that I know what Undertale means. Nice job, Nathaniel. I can't zip it yet. Okay, so we're gonna finish this off. By bringing our jawline down. Like so. And that finishes off our skull. So we got a little bit of an elongated jaw. I mean, come on, dude. I'm into Zelda Breath of the Wild. That's got to be something. I get points. I'm learning. All right. So how do we feel about this? Basic shapes into bone structure. Can you see how this will help in kind of your overall anatomical structure of your own characters and that kind of thing, right? Understanding basic form. Even in, thank you, I should get applause for that. I do get nerd points. Thank you very much. 2 nerd points for me. Please and thank you. All right, skulls. Done. Check. Basic shapes. So here's how we're going to translate that, right? As we've been working on basics, now we're going to do something a little fun with it. What I want you to do, and this is we've got like 10 minutes remaining. Here's what I want you to do in the last 10 minutes. All I want you to do is draw a basic head shape like character. I don't care who it is. It can be anybody. It can be this Sans creature that you all talk about, right? And what I want you to do is I want you to very lightly draw that, and I want you to put the skull of how, like, so we've just we see what the skeletal structure is underneath. I want you to put a skull underneath that. So essentially you're going to kind of be laying your drawing and then a skull underneath that to show what the structure looks like. It can be anybody. I don't care if it's Homer Simpson, right? Somebody. I'm going to draw, I have no idea what I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw Marvin the Martian. That's who I'm going to draw. You all can draw whatever you want. So I want you to take a character. It can be any, it can be your own character, right? Because you all have some pretty cool stuff that you do. And I want you to very lightly sketch out that character. And then I want you to put the skeletal structure underneath. So what would that look like if it was mainly a skull? Okay, and then you can just have a very soft outline of the external features. Can you share your full body sketch? Absolutely. I just need you to, you're gonna have to probably turn off your background. Or completely disappear. There she goes. All right. Yeah, whoever, top bot, tail bot. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're doing screen share. Nice. Way to use basic shapes. That's a big honking sword. Way to use basic shapes. I love what you did with the jawline too in your head shape. Fantastic, right? I like the pose. I like the fact that the hips shift a little to one side. And I think that makes it interesting for the arm that's like your right arm that's kind of like allowing to fall straight down. That's a little bit more interesting of a shape there. Way to go. I dig that. Nice job, Laura. Is it Laura or Kat? I don't know. Y'all change your names. I'm trying to figure it out. There's Kat. Sorry, that was Laura. Right? I was right. Okay, I was right. Laura. Okay, go ahead. Go. All right. So
I
remember.
want to share something.
Yes. Oh, check that out. Yes. I love the leg.
This was the full body thing. I really like
dig it,
digigrade legs, so I would.
Absolutely. You know what I find interesting too, and I like it a lot, is when you show like an movement and like a leg is up, so the thigh is a little bit bigger, and then you have your foot that kind of sits behind. That's super cool.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It is epic, Evie. T is epic. Epic T. All right. So remember, you've got your own character. I'm going to go. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch it up. I think. Well, no. I'll go Marvin the Martian. So if Marvin has his eyes like so, and they're big, and this will be without his helmet. And Marvin doesn't have a mouth. So I'm going to say his, what would you say, Scott? His ocular cavity?
That sounds good.
Yeah, let's go with ocular cavity. I'm going to go with the bone structure of Marvin the Martian and his ocular cavity. I've seen some people do some very cool drawings of characters where they show bone structures. And as a matter of fact, there's a guy that I followed back and forth on Instagram, and he did this, which I thought was awesome. So check that out. Isn't that wicked? So just like we're talking about, right? We took a character that you know, and you put bone structure underneath. That's pretty awesome. I bought 4 of his prints, and he lives in Spain. All right. So let's see what you got here. We're going to give him. Okay. And then Marvin doesn't really have a mouth, but we're going to give him kind of and he doesn't speak so much, but I'm going to give him a jawline anyway. All right. And then pull this up, and all I'm going to do is I'll probably very lightly put and he's got a perfectly circular head, so I've got to kind of keep that in mind as I'm doing my jawline. And I'm just going to put his helmet, just a light helmet over the top, so that I know who this is. There we go. All right, and then as we round out here, folks, I would love to see what everybody has done. There's my side flaps. All right, so I kind of roughed it in. I kind of picked it easy. All I have to do is an ocular cavity. He has no nose. Maybe he does, and we just don't know it. So I'll add a nose here. You just can't see it. All right. I'm going to shade that in. No, you need to wait. Okay. So there's my version. Now that's enough of me. Let's look at what you've got. Okay. So we're going to go around the table. Mr. Ryder, where should we start first? Who would like to go first? It'd be awesome if we could get everybody to show. Let's go to.
I can see some people are still drawing.
Do I see that?
How about Kat? Is Kat ready?
Kat, are you ready?
I kind of didn't draw anything because I wasn't here for half the class.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. How about
Let's go to Nathaniel.
Nathaniel?
So let me go back to the drawing that I made right now. So this is from a cartoon, Cartoon Network show, and this is technically what I made from the skull.
Nice. I love the skeletal structure underneath. It kind of it puts some rules in place for your character, like kind of what they can and can't do.
Oh, it's not my character. It's from a show.
No, I know. What I'm saying is like when you do that and you're able to put like a structure underneath, it kind of helps you understand a little bit more about what, just the nature of that character. Very cool, man. Nice job, Nathaniel.
Thank you.
Okay. As I rep my own sweatshirt in the frame, let's go to, is Soleil ready? I know you're still drawing, but do you have an in progress that we could see?
I do have it in progress. So
Excellent.
I drew my character who wears a deer skull always on their head. So I just do a
Ooh,
deer skull and then them under it.
that's awesome.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to relate that to a Marvel character. Who knows Beta Ray Bill? Anybody? Do you know who Beta Ray Bill is?
No, I don't.
That's all right. He's a Thor-like character, but I love the deer skull. I think that looks awesome with the horn, with the antlers and stuff in the back.
Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Evie. Let's see an in progress from Evie.
Okay. So here's mine. I just drew ears on it because. But I was trying
A
to do
little closer.
school, so I had to look up reference. So
I dig it, man. Is that a rabbit?
it's a cat. I
A
tried.
cat. All right.
I have to work on it.
Oh, okay. I love the anatomical structure, like the skeletal. That looks cool.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Here's Totbot.
Tiki.
I just got this. I did red for the skin over it.
That looks awesome. I like that you delineated the two. Good structure.
Thank you.
All right. Who else? Armin, would you like to go?
No.
No? Okay, that's fine. So we'll give it Laura. I don't know if you're ready, or Des, or Mouse, in case you guys wanted to turn on your cameras. Okay, that's a no. All right, dudes. So here's where we're at. There's mine, right? And I'll flip this on the drawing to where we finished even with our initial, right, shapes into basic poses, like for human anatomy. I think you guys did great on that. Flipping over to kind of create, using that structure and basic shapes to create our own kind of interesting character quickly in a humanoid form, and then following off with skulls and that whole skeletal structure. Very cool. So getting into basics, right? It's telling you, it's very cool to draw real life stuff. It is very cool because that leads to much bigger things. And I didn't learn that until I was like in my late teens, and like an animator from Disney had to tell me that. And then I was far behind. So you are way ahead of me if you get this in now and you get really good at drawing anatomy and human anatomy and that kind of stuff. You can go a lot farther. And that doesn't mean you don't draw cartoons and animation. That just means that you're practicing more, and that will help you do a better job in that. All right, so cool. We've got a full week of people. Lee is on, Mike Funt is on, Daryl Park is on, and Naylene is on, which is awesome. I will not see you guys next week because I will be out in Florida on Monday, but I will be returning in 2 weeks. So I very much look forward to seeing what you guys put down. Yeah, I know, the small child wants yogurt bites, and I've already opened the yogurt bites. They should be eating the yogurt bites by now. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Have a great week next week. I hope you participate in as many as you can. You guys are super talented. I don't know if I say that enough, but you guys, seriously, you got some great talent, and I love seeing what you come out with. And I love especially when you're challenged and you guys all rise to the challenge. And it can be frustrating, and we can think our own stuff sucks, and that's okay, because the whole point is getting those things out. but I think you guys do a great job with that and you persevere. So you inspire me, let that be known. Scott Ryder, any parting words of wisdom from you, sir?
No, I'm just in agreement with you about everyone being awesome. I love seeing all the artwork.
Absolutely. All right, so keep drawing, keep creating. I'm going to do that while I'm on my trip and sketching out a whole bunch of stuff. It always helps. Practice makes perfect. Have a wonderful day, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Hey Ben, when
Yes, sir.
you're done with your trip, could you show me? When you come back, could you show us the drawings you made?
I absolutely
Trip.
will. Because I have brought, here, Scott, before we click out, here's what I went to the art store today, and I bought more black smooth paper. So I'm going to be busting out colored pencil sketches on smooth black paper, right? And then I'm going to do some stuff on Bristol board and a sketchbook, but I will show you what I've done. So Nathaniel pretty much just put me on the spot.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
Right, way to go,
Hey,
Nathaniel.
welcome.
So deal, man. I will show you my stuff when I get back. Have a great week, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Later. Yeah, that's what I.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.